All right, welcome back. This is MDawg. We're going to try going right back to the spot where we caught that trophy grayling, especially since, it's right here at the end of the day. And so let's just see what we can make happen here. And then we're going to quickly transition into some overnight fishing for Ruffe. And then we'll just kind of see where that takes us. I haven't even looked at the cafe yet. It'd be worth doing that. But either way, welcome back to another episode. I'm waiting on my coffee behind me and the Keurig. It's being put together, brewed. Hopefully that will be ready very soon as we begin our fishing. There's a little asp here. That's interesting. Somebody left a comment that I just thought was an interesting comment. So we'll touch base on it here. Somebody had said something like, hey, don't, I think basically what he was saying is don't make new players to the game think that they have to buy these expensive lures. That there are cheaper options, I suppose, is what he was saying. You don't have to buy the very most expensive spinner baits. And I'm sure that's true. I mean, I will say some of his wording in how he left the message. I'm not going to apologize for buying what I think is a especially good lure for this place, but I will go as far, to say you don't have to get spikers, hornets, even Achilles. I mean, I'm sure that if you are patient and you try different colors, different variations, some of the very cheap spinner baits would be would also be good. There's a nice grayling. Looks like he was headed towards our lure, and then as it got close to the shore, he took off. So, I will mention that here that if you're new to the game and you want to try a variety of lures, you can get some much cheaper lures than going straight to the top end ones. However, some of these top end ones do really work. They work well. I don't. Again, I don't think there's anything wrong with buying a spiker or two, just to have in your options for different lures. Now, some of that, I think some of the way I think about it is also because I'm not just doing spin fishing. If you are just doing spin fishing, then of course for variety, you're going to want to probably get a lot of. Dang it! How often is that happening? So often. We are getting fish coming right at the end. Which this was not happening the other day when I recorded the last episode. Most of the good fish were caught pretty early. And we've got some fish that are definitely coming. I just need to leave it in the water maybe a little bit longer. I will try to do that here if we don't catch a fish beforehand. So, all that being said, I guess it's just worth mentioning. Try out lots of lures. And don't be afraid to try the cheap ones. Even though I'm not doing a ton of cheap ones so far, and maybe I can, try to do some of that, but we're just not focused solely on spin fishing. So it's hard enough to make time for the different types of fishing using the best examples of lures and baits and stuff. It's hard to make time for showing you every possible lure or bait, especially when we're not just focused on one type of fishing. But just thought I would address. I thought that was an interesting comment. I didn't necessarily agree fully with the comment or what it sounded like the person was saying, but I thought there was some good to think about. And I definitely do not want people feeling like they have to get the most expensive lures just to have success. looking at weekly list is a good place to start, good place to figure out like, okay, what's working. But a lot of people look at the weekly list. So once there's like basically a meta, then it sort of becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and people don't always try as many other options. So if you're willing to try different options, you'll find that lots of things will work, not just the thing that's showing up on the list. I am hoping that... Ooh, interesting. I am hoping that once we... oh, this has got some spunk to it. Once we get to the rough, the bottom fishing at night here, we'll catch some decent rough. And we could get lucky and have a cafe order. I guess that would be the ultimate. Alright, it's just a little asp, unfortunately. Worst case scenario. Well, there is a worst case scenario, but this is one of the worst case scenarios. Thankfully, it is a kilo, so it is a marker. But alright, that is 10 p.m. We could probably catch another fish or two. Maybe I will cast it one more time. I was just reading someone was talking about how they caught a trophy grayling, and it actually came in at night. They kept fishing, so it's not that it's not. I mean, it's possible. But I think if you've got a spot that's working for overnight bottom fishing, especially if you're hitting cafes and stuff, it's just really tempting because of how much it'll slow down. It can slow down a lot. All right, so let's go ahead and get the comma comfort back out. So what we're going to try to do here is we're going to go fish for rough using red worms and worms in a spot that's similar. Oh, no rough order. That is a bummer. In a spot that's similar to what we did last time, but it is actually slightly farther down. So it's kind of like right here on the other side of this kayak. We're just going to throw it. We want to go 50 or 51. I actually don't remember. It probably doesn't matter. Let's just go 58. 58.50. Sorry, 68.50 is actually the... All right, so this is 24 hook and worm. And then these two will be size 22 hook and red worm. And once again, we are at a 10-meter clip. All right, see what we got on here. Looks like on the first rod, we already caught our first rough of the night. And since we don't have a cafe order, we are just straight hoping for a decent bite rate and make some silver that way. All right, let me grab my coffee. All right, so both red worm have a fish on, although so far we are catching some very small rough. There's a nice one. 83 gram. $65 gram. There's a red worm. Love to see it. Yeah, real bummer that the cafe's the way it is. That is just a little rough. But these are not little rough. These are nice rough. Oh man. People are still fishing in that. I don't know if y'all remember the roach spot, the common roach spot at Mosquito. People are still fishing in that spot with stonefly. Turned into a pretty decent trophy spot for some people, but some folks are using like PVA over there, which I don't know. That's just a lot going for roach. But if you're trying to trophy it, I guess that can work. But I'm actually thinking about once it's morning time or getting close to morning time, I'm actually thinking about, do we want to just go like bottom fish at either Mosquito or Winding for a few minutes to before we finish this episode? There's also a nice little Bleak spot, which we've kind of done that before at Mosquito. We could just see what the cafe looks like. See if something makes sense, either Bleak or Roach, based on what the cafe is doing. I mean, there's no doubt that this rough spot is kind of going off. I mean, it's a nice spot, but are we making money? Let's see here. If we just go to rough, yeah, it's 34 quicksilver. That ass was worth 4 silver. It's interesting. But even without cafe order, you're not necessarily hating life over here. So Bleak and Roach, they're at least the most recent posts about Mosquito, which I know we've done it before, but we haven't trophied anything at Mosquito, so might be nice to like try to start wrangling in some of those trophies when possible, just for fun. That might be something fun to kind of go for. Trophy, I mean, the roach are coming out in that spot trophy wise enough that it might just be worth going and sitting over there and seeing what happens, I guess. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know if you've noticed, but it does seem that, not that regular worms aren't working, clearly they do, but I do feel like we see a difference here. The red worms are popping off a little better. I think if there is a Bleak cafe order, we'll do Bleak first. Potentially. And then we'll just go sit at the roach spot. Because I can just kind of pause it while we're fishing for roach. And I need to turn this white balance down a little bit. It's making me look pretty red at the moment. I think that's a little better. We can make a little money off the Bleak order if there is one. And then just go try to trophy roach. Or at least just see how good a roach we can catch. And we have enough silver that we can go ahead and get our second and third comma comforts, which I am excited about. Shoot. We actually don't have a leader right now on this setup, which isn't something we want to like do permanently. But we could get like a 4 or 5 kilo leader would be more ideal. Let's see. So 4.8 is the line. Yeah. The other thing we haven't talked about and I haven't looked at doing is upgrading those reels. I think this is one of the places you can actually do it. We should at least look at that before we leave here. All right, I was going to look at feeder leaders really quick. They're often sold out places, so even if you're paying a little more here, like if we wanted 5.4 leader, are we going to end up fishing with 5.4 strength on our feeder setups? Probably. That's probably a reason. Look at these sold out, by the way. And these are the nicer ones, but we're not high enough level to use them yet. But those 4.4s are kind of perfect. So maybe we should get some of the 5s. All right, let's do this real quick. All right, what I want to do is I want to take this off of here, and I'm going to disassemble this, close it. We're going to go back to our Sorrento. Whatever, we can actually do this. I just want to be able to see upgrading that reel, what it would cost. Look at this perch. Fat perch. Down to 24. Down to 24 redworms, and we're not even at winding. Okay. So let me show you what I'm talking about with upgrading these reels. If you haven't ever seen this before, this is an interesting thing. All right, so we can upgrade the friction brake to a 6.5. Okay, it's actually not in stock here. So the stock is 3.8. Now we could go 5.4, which frankly is probably enough, but if we can find this one in stock, it goes up to 6.5. The friction brake is so much stronger at that point. And it's really not that expensive. We just got to find it in stock. So we need to look around and see where, if at all, that's in stock. All right, I think we should call it on these rough. I mean, it is like pretty easy money and it's fun, and I do have the feeling if we kept up at this long enough, we would probably trophy it, but I'm not as concerned about doing that at the moment. Okay, let's make sure nothing's rolled on the cafe. It has not, so let's sell these fish. That's another 58 silver. We're almost to 500. And let's travel around and just check a couple of things, a couple of places here. First of all, nothing stands out there. All right, what are we wanting to look at? Well, first of all, we want to get 2 more of these feeder fishing start. All right, so there's 300 silver spent real quick. Let's just go ahead and unpack these. We know we want those. Now, when you unpack them, they come put together. We're going to disassemble it. This goes up to 6 kilos, by the way. Where's the other one? Here we go. Disassemble. Now, just out of curiosity, do they have a workshop that has it in stock? So let's go to the friction brake. Okay, not in stock here either. These 2 are in stock. So we go 5.4 again, but for the big Carbonex 5-star, so far that has not been in stock. Is there anything else we need to purchase here? I don't think so. One thing I meant to do, and I just forgot, was I meant to check Belaya for red worms. I don't know that I would have bought them since we're trying to collect them by digging, but I was just curious, like if they had them for, if you could purchase them there, or if they're out of stock there as well. Hardware, no. We want the other place. Yeah, it's not administration. It's not the house. Oh, there it is, workshop. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be in stock here. Yeah, it's definitely not in stock here. Okay. So it's not in stock anywhere. Let's go check the cafe and see what we want to do. What, if anything, we want to fish for here at Mosquito. As we keep collecting those worms. I think the cafe is going to be important, and I've never noticed this before. Do they have like little smoking things at all of the places? All right. I mean, obviously we've got plenty of time left on this Bleak order, so I think we just go do that first. And then, you know, the roach, it doesn't really matter if we hit that roach order. It's 2, like, non-existent. We need 5 from 29, by the way. You know what? I think we're going to do a float fishing 45 silver. Is it worth spending a little more? A little bit nicer stuff. More. I guess I'll try it. All right, so we're gonna do like this. We're going back to, what is it, 87, 87, something like that. I don't know if we'll do the roach this time or not, but let's at least just try to knock out this bleak order. I mean, we bought those flies, we might as well use them. Make some money from the cafe, and then also just level up our float fishing a little bit, have some fun on float. Yeah, it's right here, right? Yeah. We have done this before, haven't we? All right, there's that. We want to go as deep or shallow as possible. Now, I think... yeah, here's our other 24. And then I think these have, what, 22s on there? Actually, I don't know why I took it off of that. Technically, that's what we need to have it on, right? I'm not as worried about... I mean, we'll go ahead and put a feeder in a minute here, but that's not as critical. Oof. There we go. All right, that one's big enough, right? So this has 1.3 kilo. This has 4.8 kilo line. That's actually a pretty big difference. We'll see if that translates to anything significant. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we caught both unless it really gets away from us here. Frog, huh? Well, at the moment, we are catching a lot of small bleak. Ooh, just wait a second. A lot of small bleak. Which, you know, on the plus side, I don't think for that cafe order we needed big bleak, but still. We've got 20 flies left. Now, there are other baits that will typically work for bleak if we run out of flies. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but flies probably overall the best bait most consistent at least for Bleak and frogs. I was gonna say that looks like a nice one. I was wondering, like, we haven't had a bite over here on the feeder. That doesn't seem right. Oh, it's just a little rough sitting there. Wonder what a Bleak trophy sells for at Mosquito. Probably not that much, considering it's a trophy. So first trophy Grayling, second trophy Bleak at Mosquito. Quit faking me out. That's right. This is the place where you can just fish 24/7, Bleak and Rough. Bleak during the day, Rough during the night. Hard to keep up with these bites. They're fast and furious right now. Wait, is that the third Bleak trophy in chat? It is. There was 3 Bleak trophies in this little section here within a few minutes. So they're definitely coming out right here. 4 more. Let's try to run through the end of our flies here. Wow, we're close to 14, huh? We'll probably just sit on that skill point until we see kind of what's next. If we end up doing more spin fishing, well, do we still have a... Yeah, we could put our last point into fishing with a spinning reel. That's a pretty safe one, actually. Really? Really now? Another healthy one. What do we have on here? 1.3. Yeah, that's like... We don't have to run that small. Goodness. So probably just a really aggressive frog or something like a roach, I guess. And it just snapped that line. But that's that snake line we were using. Surprised we didn't lose the float, actually. That's that snake line we were using when we were trying that Dace Bleak spot at Winding, which was dangerous there too, but the sad part of that is losing the hook. But thankfully at this point, like, we're making enough silver we can replace that hook pretty easily. Alright, so one more Bleak. Here. That's ridiculous. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Plus the trophy, so 10 that were marker size. Alright, there we go. Hit level 14 on the last fly. Was the hook situation here any different? It is nice that we can get 24s, you know, as long as you're willing to spend a little bit. you can get those 24s, which is so helpful. Okay. Oh, there's a rough order now. Boy, that's tough. All right. Perfect. 5 that were not markers, and we got 18.8 silver for it. That is pretty cool. Now let's see how much that that trophy sells for. 31 silver. Wow. So another 53 silver. Totally worth it going for those trophy Bleak. It would have been even better if we could have caught a little bit higher percentage of markers there, but we will take it. And that's good. There we go. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.